Hey guys, post-match Pernogo here, reminding you that Gauntlet Stage A signups are officially open for today. That's right, they end today. If you're going to participate in the tournament, sign up today. All right, thanks, bye. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an exciting matchup here today. It is going to be for qualification, and whoever wins this goes all the way to Battlements, straight to Battlements. And I'm joined by Neblime, who is already in Battlements because of his second place finish in Acropolis #2. How are you, my man?
Oh, I'm terrified because I'm going to have to play one of these players maybe, you know.
Yeah,
that qualifies.
It's quite a possibility. In fact, I would say both of them should make it in, but it's not the Shambler versus Top Ramen. It's not Shopkeeper Dog versus Top Ramen, as I had actually initially predicted. It's the Shambler, who has switched to Protoss, versus Jakulangski, who defeated Top Ramen in the previous set 3-1. I was absolutely flabbergasted and floored to see that result, but I know you, Neblime, and I'm sure you were not unhappy about that because, you know, everybody loves Jack.
Of course everybody loves Jack. How could you not love Jack? But look, I'm very proud of him and how far he's come. I feel like after this Acropolis, you won't be saying things like, what? Jack beat Ramen? You'll be like, oh, of course Jack beat Ramen. I mean, no offense to Ramen. Just players like Ramen, you know, because Jack's been working pretty hard.
A little bit more of an even matchup at the very least, right? People will be like, yeah, it's 50-50, hard to call. Okay.
Absolutely. And look, I had to show up to cast this one because it's like my son's graduation or something, you know, or like the big game, you know? I got to see how it goes. Now, look at this. Jack's very good at microing these really records now. He can ward off that scribe because this is a scenario we played out like 100 times. Okay, it does get pushed back. Now, Shambler sticking with the lattices, which we've seen he's made a lot of use of. I was saying just before we started, like, I hope he goes 6 lattice, but alas, he's gone too slow, in my opinion. But,
well, don't you hope that because Jack has practiced against you a gabillion times, and then he's, like, easy win for Jack? Because, you know... Shambler's not going to be as practiced as you. Shambler's going to do some different stuff than you, right? In fact, that's what he was saying at the beginning of it as he drops his embassy. He said, going in raw. So he hasn't done much practice, really. He's been very low on the practice games ever since switching to Protoss, which is a tough complication here. But I will also point out, this opening map here on Crisis Vector has graced us with a low action early game for the first couple minutes. Nobody's doing a crazy rush. So we can actually talk about the pick ban here. We have Crisis Vector, of course, as our first map. Shambler was the higher seed. He would not have been if Top Ramen had made it through. Top Ramen was seed number 1 in the whole event. He bans Kingwa Valley. No love for Kingwa Valley. You know, classic move. Jack banning Brainstorm is kind of funny because you'd think it would be exactly up Jack's alley to play a Psycho map, but I guess that's more like a hamster thing or something. And he's not a fan of 4-spawn maps anymore because Paradise got removed. So he ends up picking Near Impact for his game 2. Then we've got Radium, and that will be there for our map 3. If we need extra maps, it'll be Blackwater Bastion picked by Jack, and Shambler picks Serenity to finish us off if we go the whole distance, as Shambler's set against Shopkeeper Dog did. And then, Decapitation and Mass Destruction were the other bans, so won't be seeing those. And so far, all that's happened, as we broke down that veto, of course, or at least we enumerated the veto, was that his Orchid Shroud is about halfway complete, very deadly versus this composition, and Shambler's been reposting some deaths, so nothing too busy. But what do you make of the maps before we get into exactly how this particular game is shaping up?
Like, I'm pleased you acknowledge Brainstorm as a Psycho map, because I freaking hate it. But, no surprise, by the way, that Jack would pick Blackwater Bastion. Although I would have thought he'd like Decapitation. I grant it's not particularly good for Zerg, but I feel like Jack's just always doing better on a 4-player map. Like, definitely compared to Shambler, he's a big macro player, and he will always be doing better in the late game. Hang on, I don't have that much time to talk, because Shambler's coming on up, and Jack doesn't really seem to have anything right now. He turned around. Are you kidding me?
Oh, no. Yeah, he's kind of hemming and hawing. There's 10 Zetracores that just hatched and a single lake is on the way. So there are some...
will do nothing versus this, though.
There are some tools to delay, but yeah, absolutely. The idols will splash this down. Although Shambler's kind of... he's inconsistent, indecisive, and only one Zet has actually gone down so far.
The Lakiz is going to come out in a minute. Yeah, this is probably enough stuff, actually. Although, Shambler not really micro very much. I feel like he should have kited a little more. Nothing tragic so far, but I think the Lakiz will come out and he will be okay here. Pulls the Sim back a bit, but not the best formation. I mean, his force is superior to Jack's, but the Lakiz is out, and I feel like he could have lost a little bit less. But he will be pushed back now. Or he needs to be pushed back now. He's going to go for it anyway. This might be a mistake, because that Lakiz will be hammering away. He's going to lose a lot of stuff. Yeah, he's going to be forced back. Although, you could farm Sims pretty well with this, I think.
You could. It's kind of risky. You have to get hit by only one spine, otherwise you're going to take so much damage on the return. However, yeah, he's also rallying some more units down, just doing a little bit of light pressure, probably unintentional, as his reactions would indicate. He's already got looks like 4 artisans there, rocking out with the extra Vespene mining from the natural, so that's going to allow him to get a little bit further up there, right? And one thing that we haven't seen in any of the games so far, even in Shambler's games versus Dog, is people using Artisans as potential combat units in a pinch if they get pushed or something. But that makes this build even safer than it initially looks, as long as there's not like specifically anti-air specialist units like Nathracors or, you know, Lanifex or whatever being used against them. So coming into this, I feel like overall, Jack taking his expansion faster, it seems like an even game. I don't think any one player is particularly ahead. I know you're going to look at like the minus 11 workers that Jack has, but that's pretty easy for Zerg to come back from. So it's just a statistical imba on number only, right? It's not actually a real imba.
I like that. When Zerg is down 10 workers, it's just like a statistical error. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like, I gotta say, you're gonna have a hard time with Lattice only against Lakiz units. Sorry, not Lakiz units. Yeah. I'm always thinking of Lakiz, the Zorkiz Strat unit. And Shambler, even after he saw it, doubled down and got a 4th Lattice. Look at that. He cannot engage at all. In fact, he needs to be very careful. Once there's enough Zor use out, and Jack is extremely good at using them to get the Lakiz into position, he can absolutely clap this army. Now, Shambler does have the advantage of not having an actual expansion, which means his defense is a lot stronger. I gotta say, I've been struggling versus this kind of push a lot versus Jack, and the problem is defending by natural, but Shambler has a little bit of an advantage here. But can he really get the sort of army he needs to hold? I like these mates of Golems. They are quite good against Lakizlas, but of course it's not just going to be Lakizlas. It's going to be everything. It's going to be the Zor use, the Gorgs I think I saw got made. Am I crazy? Are there some Gorgs? No, never mind. I swear I saw the morphing. But there are going to be some sooner or later, I guarantee you that. And then, of course, a bunch of quads spam with it. So I think it might have been a mistake for Shambler just to make another Lattice. In fact, he's making even another Lattice. He's saying, no, I'd win.
Yeah, it's triple embassy, 5 lattice, and a little bit of token defense, including one in the mineral line that'll just get munched on. His witnesses aren't really doing a phenomenal scouting job. I think you would really like in this situation to kind of be occasionally checking the eggs to see what's actually coming out of them. Are you know, obviously Jack is caught back up in workers as predicted, but with Artisans being pumped out ludicrously, the Protoss is actually still slightly ahead. So Shambler definitely going to be enjoying that. Looks like he's setting up for some kind of additional tech. Hopefully not just an extra lattice as he's trying to hammer down.
Oh, he cannot get in here. Oh, he needs to pull back. It was nice getting that Lakizlas, but he's getting a bit too ambitious. Does he not realize how many Lakizlas are there? There's no hope.
Well, the witness is only revealing like 2 of them, and now, yeah, it looks like Ghost Signal has been pushed. Remember, that one Gorgakor is going to soak up a lot of damage before the idols can actually do away with it. And in fact, they're not even actively doing away with it. There we go. He falls away. Yeah, this army isn't as mobile as the gateway-focused compositions we've seen Protoss really lend towards. The only other thing I was thinking is that since you're going so many lattices, you could maybe get like a vassal stack to specifically eliminate Burrowed Lakes with the witness, but that's a long way away and something that I don't think the Zerg is just going to sit around and let you do, as Jack is continuing to push in, and Shambler wants to stay and fight.
Well, it sort of works. He's not like necessarily microing this badly. The idols are trying attacking. As you can see, they're actually not very good against Gorgs, unless it was like 100 Gorgs or 100 idols, and of course they just splash them. But they do take a while to get them down. You know, Shambler's done a pretty good job actually of whittling down the attack. More by virtue just of how many idols he's managing to make, which is impressive. And the Golems, as you can see, are quite good against the Lakizlas. They do their work. Running to the other side is a great move, but unfortunately it does die before it can attack much. But he's picking off those Lakizlas. Even though Shambler is just taking massive losses, the thing is the Lakizlas are quite expensive, and the counter's getting low, but reinforcements arrive. He needs to pull back now. Can he hold here? The Artisans, as you say, are probably going to have to be used here, and I think they can do the job, because only a few Quazzlers.
Yeah, they'll be able to attack with impunity, but he needs to pull the trigger now. Some of them already off the mineral line. There you go. Yeah, I mean, he's got like 10 of them active right now for attacking. There's nothing that can really shoot up here with a considerable amount.
Yeah, well, this is going to be a hold for Shambler, obviously. Or is it? Hang on, the Gorgs are coming. Oh, never mind. And what is there to fight? 2 idols? For that's nothing.
Okay. Yeah, start moving your units, buddy. You got 29 scribes over there. Humongous oversaturation. So I guess it doesn't matter if you lose a couple, and you're definitely going to lose a few. That was just on the mineral line. Forget about the gas as well. Now, most of the Gorgs are actually going down, so this isn't terrible, but especially with them having a more meager anti-air attack, the Artisans will actually have a field day with them. Well, they're at least not stacked up. Yeah, it's just pure lattice from Shambler. He does not want to pivot from his current moment, but he hasn't been harvesting really any resources, right? He's busy trying to chase away individual Lakes with the Artisan Cloud.
Well, here they come. I mean, they're killing stuff, but like you said, that's his economy as well, right?
Yep.
And that Zor use was still active in the mineral line for a moment.
Yep.
Here come all the Rillorocors. They're going to pop in a second. Do they do friendly fire corrosive, or is that only for enemies?
Only ally enemy, or only enemy proc there. You know, one thing that would be really nice for Shambler, and it's way too late for him to do now, as Jack is swarming in with more reinforcements, I'm pretty sure he's going to actually take this game. He's got 4 more Gorgs on the way. But one thing that's worth pointing out here is Shambler has so many lattices, but not a single proc of a manifold, you know, concurring cores.
Yeah,
there's nothing.
Nothing
for that armor. And so that was the big switch, is that like Shambler seemed to be doing okay versus the Lake is. They're not a heavily armored target. Zoryu's 3 armor. The Idols have 2 attacks, so in 0 armor pen. So that goes from 12 to what? It's like 8 damage or something like that, or even less, I think 6. So it's a very significant reduction in their amount of power that at that point you got to start asking yourself, what am I going to do about that? And the answer is manifolds. If you have at least 1 manifold, you start undoing each manifold added that's active, gives you 1 more armor pen and an aura. Sure, it's not the biggest aura, and sure, the unit itself is kind of, weak, but...
there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, this is way too much. You're letting the Zerg get away with murder. Jakulangski going for the jugular. It's beautiful to see. I'm sure Neblime is proud.
Yeah, I am proud. Look, this is like what Jack has been doing a long time. He's doing pretty aggressive attacks, but with course units only. Shambler does call the GG. I crashed too. Isn't that exciting?
I can't believe you've done this. Too exciting. Too exciting.
Shambler does call the GG. Jack has always been quite an aggressive player, I feel like. He's not shy to send the units in, but now he's managed to incorporate these Zork's units. He's been a lot more deadly, and we see he's doing a very good job at keeping the pressure up, continually rallying units. And look...
Neblime, you said something. What did you say?
Oh gosh, I've forgotten now, damn it. You've done it to me. I was just saying, Shambler lost. I was saying we didn't have time really to talk about everything that happened in that game because it went so fast. It was kind of crazy because there was so much to say as well, so much interesting stuff going on. Shambler had the mass ladder strategy, and the Artisans Footsworth did well, but he struggled against Orcas. And I feel like there's nothing you can really make from the ladders that deals with Orcas, except maybe the vassals. But I'm not so sure. You need an awful lot of them, but it might work. But either way, Shambler going to have to adapt. He's like mass idle shenanigans, not going to do the job versus what Jack's bringing. And honestly, I would expect Jack to continue with the Zork's heavy style because that's what we've been practicing mostly.
Okay, yeah. That seems to be what Krankendow is reportedly doing a lot, and Krankendow versus Arbuz Budesh will be the second and final qualification series. See which one of those two plays. That one's so hard to call for me. I don't know who's going to do it because they both won their March Invitational group, right? And so it's like, they're obviously handily dispatching their attackers. Although I will say, Arbuz going 3-0 versus Smarty, especially with the gateway spam and P-Mirror, is maybe a little bit less impressive, as much as it's good to defend against the all-ins, than the Night Fox, as rusty as he may be, being dismissed 3-0 by Crank. That maybe points to a slight Crank edge there, but definitely a good match. It's the same matchup here.
A slight Crank edge.
As
he says.
That's a sentence.
3-0. I mean, I don't know. Look, I feel like you can't undersell Crank. He's one of the strongest Zerg we have, I feel like, in the whole community. So, I don't know, man. Slight edge seems to undersell it.
Yeah, but Hamster's still there, so I can't call him the strongest yet.
True. I do feel bad that, I'm not going to lie, I always kind of forget about Hamster.
Well, he's never in any of these gauntlets because he goes straight to the top 4 every time, so...
Poor Hamster, he always goes, straight through battlements and crushes some opponents and then, gets dismissed from, 4th place or whatever. What was he this time?
Third place? Yeah.
That's right, I kicked him out, didn't I?
I think he's been 3rd place for, I want to say, the last several big tournaments, actually.
Yeah.
He got to 2nd place in Ascension 6 versus Meat. He got 2nd place. And then he was 2nd place again to you in Ascension 7,
Yeah.
And then after that, I think he was 3rd, was defeated by the Shambler, right, in the lower final of Acropolis 1, and then you defeated him in the final. And then, he was 3rd in this most recent tournament. So, Hamster's a really strong Zerg, too. We'll see if Jack can join the Pantheon as he's coming across the map with a couple of Zethra cores. We got 2 Idol, 1 Sim. So, similar strat so far. But, Zerka Shroud already down, so I guess that points to what you were saying is... I've been talking about this a lot, talking a big game about this kind of strategic mindset that people sometimes have. And these Zets are actually going to get a little bit of a scout. They shouldn't get any...
Yeah, very nice. Seeing double ladders, I think Jack will be quite happy. Oh, the Scribes. Nice micro by Shambler. Does deny that kill.
Yeah, good stuff there. I've been thinking about how, if you're ahead in a series, especially a best of 5, where it's not okay, I lose 1 and then I'm in contention for death. You can make the decision as to whether or not you want to change your style up, but the pressure isn't really on you. You can just do the same thing as the last game, especially if you scout the same strategy from your opponent as Jack just did. And it's on the opponent to change up their style, to change up their approach, because they lost the game, right? So I do think that, I guess we are seeing a little bit of change. The second embassy seems to be coming online faster compared to like the third lattice in the last game, although I guess I can't be 100% sure. The Shambler's build orders are always mystifying. But
maybe it's what do you call it? Artisan Vassal is the comp. Hang on, he's going to go for a flank here. This might not really work. Well, there's a lot of idols. Let's see.
Yeah, he kind of I think he hesitated a little bit there, but the idols are still going to get more or less surrounded and very, very wounded. Now they are going to be beaten back. And behind this, the one lake is halfway complete. 2 Zoryus coming up much faster than before as well. I think that makes this more or less a guaranteed hold. He shouldn't even lose the Larvask here. Because you just can't deal with the Zoryus as an idol, right?
Ooh, runs right in there. He's going to lose all these now. I was saying it's not bad for Shambler, but it would have been good if he killed those Zevs, then ran back. He's getting good value. But now, well, yeah, this is one more idol, so he's still here. But he's posed with the same question as before. You're up against like a Zork's heavy strat. You've got lattices. What are you doing next? He's making another lattice, man. Shambler is still like, nah, I'd win.
Yeah, I wonder what the question really is there, because he's starting to harvest the Vespene and the Natural again, but this time it feels like Jack is even smoother than before. He goes for the Zoryus to hatch faster than the Lake is, right? So he's got the theory down that he knows that idols struggle with no manifold support, and he's pretty sure that Shambler, since he didn't build a single manifold in the last game, is not going to do it in the early game now. And so now we see double Warden, again, one of them in the Mineral line, the other in the Vespene line, so I guess it's just Gorg Central, right? Gorg City.
Yeah.
And without a gateway, it's really hard to deal with Gorgs, isn't it? Like, you need the Drakodin or the Hierophant to do something versus them when they're in the small numbers even. So it does feel like Jack, now that he's got the Shroud up and running and Shambler knows that, feels like an error from Shambler to not, like, account for that particular thing.
Well, here's the thing, right? Individually, yes, like Hierophants and Drakodin's pretty good against Gorgs, for example, but they have no splash.
Yep.
This is the constant problem you have with Gate. If you're going pure Gate into like a long time into the game, Zeb can just show up with like 100 air units, and it's like, well, it doesn't really matter what you have because they're just so concentrated. Whereas Idol is not, as we talked about, not that good against Gorg. Okay, Shambler needs to cool it this time. If he loses a bunch of stuff to like his, he's going to lose again for sure. And about the idols versus the Zoryus, by the way, they're not terrible unit to have against Zoryus because they do just deal with the Rilla Rogors instantly, pretty much. But as you say, without Armor Pent, they do have a hard time. I wonder if Manifold, Idol, plus a bunch of Gateway units can really handle this. I feel like there's nothing you can really do on Tier 1 against a sufficient number of Lakissilisks, as long as it's anti-air, of course. I feel like the play would have been get the 2 lattices, and I don't mind the attack he did at all. I think it was quite effective and caused some, strife for the Zerg. But get the 2 lattices, then tech to something else. Not having to buy a Nexus, you really do have a lot of scope to get a tech building a little earlier. So I don't know. I feel like Shambler has not adapted at all. Like you were saying, Jack's looking even better. Matches always go different to practice, and I feel like you tend to lean a bit harder into adapting your opponent in matches because you're not trying to sort of see like, well, what if I do this? You're more like just going like, right, what do I have to do to win? So Jack really embodying that, and Shambler not right now. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and you don't want to be hoisted by your own petard. You don't want to be walked in and then be like, all right, this is my strat. I'm not going to, we saw this with Smarty as well, doing the gateway every game. That you don't want to be inflexible in that way, right? And no shade to Smarty, but also you died, so.
By the same token, though, if you have something strong, you can just do it again unexpectedly. Like that one time with Shambler.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, if you
all these are considerations.
If Biddy B does tell you that you can do a Kagran drop, and then you do it.
Oh yeah, Biddy B engineered that whole thing, man. It was beautiful. My point is, you can always fool your opponent by doing what seems bad. Now, this NAF counterattack makes sense against the Artisans, but good Lord, Shambler's ready for it.
Oh yeah, he's got 3 idols in the Mineral line, ready to go. And this is something that I remember the theory questions from people like Jujic. They were adminning he was adminning the series against Dino Man. And obviously that's a very big skill matchup, but he was just kind of in the theory department like, well, how does Zerg even do anything about that, right? Because they've got the idols for the Nath, so it's not like you can raid the Artisans and take advantage of their weakness when the idols are protecting him, right? And so he'll at least pick that one at the 9 o'clock position.
Yeah, Shambler does need another base. Like, he can't be running a natural forever. Oh, he almost loses them all. Oh, he does. He bakes back in.
Yep, there you go. He's like, just for you, Nebula, and I'll lose that one too.
Well, here comes Jack, though. And honestly, I don't see how Shambler's going to hold this. He needs to get out of here right now. He's taking a lot of damage from Lakissilis. He pulls back, going to shoot some more volleys. But like you say, the idols just really aren't quite mobile enough for this. And Jack is so good now at staging these lurkers forward. Sorry, Lakissilis. We've seen definitely, like, even players like Hamster it can be very difficult to get the Lakisless coordinated and burrowing and unburrowing at the right time. It's not easy at all, but Jack is becoming a master of it. Here he comes again.
Oh, I love that.
Unburrows.
Yeah, the unburrow after the first volley, just knowing that he needs to keep pace. So that was really good. Ends up picking up 3 or 4 more idols in the process. And Shambler's kind of backing himself into a corner. Yeah, he has to get those reinforcements out of the mineral line.
But this is new near impact. He has another way to loop around with this ramp. So he's kind of doing what he needs to do in kiting and dealing with the chaff, but he doesn't really have a good plan for the Lakisless anyway. And here come the Gorgs.
Well, this is a lot of Lakers. This is still 8 Lakers alive. He's only killed 1. Doesn't even finish that other one off. This has been a total rout here. Jakulangski is just going to get up to a 2-0 lead, it feels like. How's he going to counter this? He's got an Ardent, but it's not making anything.
Well, the Artisans, again, can sort of do their work. Well, now Jack's doing a bad job with the Lakisless.
All right, Jack, all right.
Or is this on purpose, now that he's coming back? No, I think it was a bit of a flub, but it doesn't matter. He's going to clean this up, and I think he wins this easily.
Yeah, the Gorgs are also here for the juicy mineral line. The Vorv on the Warden slows its DPS down even, so...
Oh, the Artisans!
Here the Artisans are. Let's see what they can do. No detection here, or I don't know where the Witness is. Yeah, the Witness is gone. They can't actually shoot the Lakers right now. I don't think it was killed or anything, although it could have been revealed by the Rilla Rokors, but I think it's just not in the... Yeah, it's just in the natural. Yeah, he calls GG there. Can't actually fight it. Jack up 2-0. He could 3-0 Shambler, conceivably.
Oh, man. Why is Shambler still in the replay? Oh, there
No, that was the admin. It's lazy GG.
Oh,
lazy GG.
Yes.
Here we go. And look at this Shambler asking, you 3-0 ramen? And no, it was
103 wins.
103 wins. Apparently that's a premonition.
Yeah,
I've not been
Shambler's
color
starting to
guessing this whole
realize-
time, by the way. I just realized that. I've been failing. I have been failing. Shambler was red, and then I can't remember what the other color was. Was he purple in that last game? Tyrian purple? Was he purple?
No idea.
I think it was Tyrian purple. And then this one is obviously black. He's black, Protoss in the bottom left. Going for a gateway! He's changing his style! And Jack in the top right, I believe he is coral. Yes, he is. I have no idea what other colors he was. Sorry, Jack. I'll guess later. But I'm guessing it was red, because Jack is red. Oh, Jack is not red. Oh, Jack is
Yes,
not,
you see? You understand now?
No, Jack is red. I mean, coral is a kind of red. It's just a really desaturated red.
Is it?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that last game was a wake-up call, and you see with Shambler asking, he's starting to realize who he's up against.
Yes.
He probably thought, like, honestly, kind of how I think about it, where in the past, Jack has been very vulnerable to just, like, being messed with early attacks, and, you know, the micro hasn't been there.
Yep.
And he thought, yeah, I'll just make the lattices and go across and do a lot of damage, but, I mean, this is the new Jack, forget the old Jack. Shambler realizes he's in trouble, and it wasn't just a fluke that he lost game 1 so hard. He can't just go the same strat now. He's getting the Legionnaires out. Definitely could be a strat. It was a fairly late pull this time, but it's a long way across this big old map here on Radium.
Yeah, I feel like the way that you think about Radium is a little bit different than some of the other 2-spawn maps. I was breaking down a lot of maps when I was selecting for the map pool. Did a public stream and everything. You know, everybody got to chip in a little bit. It was mostly Crank and Dog, but, you know, we got some voices from everybody. The Radium... Like, Radium as a map is much more, I think, geared towards macro because of how wide the path is to actually get to the enemy base, how long it is. And so, you know, your early rushes are going to be less effective, which maybe makes the Protoss feel a bit safer, but I think he actually does. With this strategy, he's looking for damage. He's looking for that Legionnaire, you know, first Legionnaire to get in there. There's already a Quaz pair and 2 Zeths, so...
And the Rilla Rokors.
Yeah.
So this guy's going to do nothing, but Shambler, of course, will build up and come back. He will return and in greater numbers, but he's going to get in, at least get the full scout, sees what's up. Is he going to continue to rally in? He does need to be careful about not sending them in one by one and losing them. He does need to build them up a little bit. The Zeph's out. Are they going to go straight for the counterattack? That would be a huge mistake, to be honest, because guaranteed by the time you get there, it's going to be a couple of Legionnaires out, and they handle Zephs just fine.
Well, they're on a bit of a dinky attack move there. Shambler getting out of sync with his army. He's also returning with some of them because of the Zeph counter push, it seems. A couple idle scribes back at home. He'll put down a Warden. I guess it's forcing some more respect, and he's going into Zealots now.
It might work out okay, because that means he at least builds up a bunch of Legionnaires. And yeah, I think it's a fair call maybe not to go in with the Quaz out, because they do handle Legionnaires. And you can always run them in later when your opponent's not looking. That said, the Zorkies is on the way once again, so what now, though? Oh, he's going to get one. He does get one. Very nice.
Even burrows, but Shambler was looking. See ya.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, the fact that it's straight into halfway complete Zorkas behind this, and he's built up all of these units. Like, I've seen other players, even Top Robin, do this pressure against Jakulangski, and he stays on a low worker count, he makes a lot of units, he busts out, and then either he beats you with a relentless counterattack, or he just goes straight into workers, right? Like, those are two things that you can do. And if you don't save contingencies for scouting out which it is, you could get overwhelmed by the counter push, or you could get overwhelmed by the eco later on, right? It's the constant, like, obviously in StarCraft 1, the builds are around the Corsair, right? And, like, you just scout with the Corsair, so you see if is he still making Hydras for the Hydra bust, right? That kind of thing. And that does dictate the flow of it, and the same reason why, like, keeping your probe alive in the early game is so important versus the Zerglings. Obviously, we have much better names here, so you wouldn't say that Chaos Monarchy. But these are kinds of things that you're thinking, and now the attack's coming in.
But look at that, he actually made a Circuit. I love that he adapted so much. Made a whole bunch of Zefs as well. The Kiss is coming out as well now, so there's no way Shambler's getting in. I can't believe he actually even made the Circuit, dude. Like, that's just totally shutting Shambler down. Now, Shambler's going to get those Artisans out. Of course, Shambler's still doing fine. He still has his work account, and he's going to start getting his Artisans, and no expansion for Jack yet. But I do still have the question, how are you going to deal with this Lakissless mass that's coming out? He's still got only gateways. 4th gateway coming up.
Yeah, he's going for mass gate here. He's going to hope that the later surge of Artisans is still going to help him get over the line. I do wonder when you start to harvest minerals instead of gas with these first couple of Artisans, because with gateway armies, you are going to be a bit more mineral gated. Unless you're trying to go on mass Pyro or something, yeah. Well, the Vorvs are really scary for this army. You think about the fact that it's still gateway toss, and like Vorv is a really big component of the Zerg's counter to that. I think Vorv Lake is maybe a little bit more clunky, which doesn't mean it's bad, just means it requires a bit more control effort. But Shambler, I mean, he needs a pylon so he can add more units for sure, and he's starting to float some cash money. Will we actually see him make a Nexus in this game? That's the question. I think the answer is no.
I think will not happen. I guarantee it. I'm calling it now.
Yeah.
But he does need to make something other than a gateway. I'll agree. Look, it's not just the Vorv, right? It's the fact you have all these synergistic factors, right? You have the Zoryus giving armor end as well. As a lot of tanking, adding that DPS to the Railroad Cores. The Gorgon Cores, I mean, this one not doing so well, but flying in and forcing the range units to hit them as well. And then the Lakissla's just splashing anything. So there's like so many ways to deal with gateway units that Jack has, and Shambler does not have anything else.
Yeah, it's he's starting to add some Drakidans, so that is one of the advantage of the gateways, is you can kind of be roving a little bit more than the idols. You can take pot shots to kind of thin the herd, but it requires a delicate touch, and I'm not saying Shambler doesn't have that, but I don't know if he's got the economy to back that up, even once he does leverage.
Yeah, only single embassy, right? And again, I'm assuming he's just not going to make a Nexus, so he's going to have a hard time keeping up here.
Yeah, the problem is he's making so many workers, he's oversaturating his mineral line right now, although not by a huge amount. He is indeed going to go for some minerals with that 3rd Artisan. Jack's sending out another Zephyr Core.
No, peaceful today. Oh, no.
He just wants to scout, see what's going on, but Shambler should shut this down relatively easily.
Well,
so the map is a dark, scary place for Jakulangski, but he's also a Zerg player with Zorka's units, so maybe it's not so scary after all. And he's got Nath Gorg leaving the building off to the right-hand side, going for a worker raid, no doubt. And I guess at the best, the best case for Shambler here... Yeah, is that the artisans end up getting killed, and he can like pull them back or whatever out of safety or into safety, and then prepare, right? Like this one Hierophant seems trapped on an attempt.
He's gonna attack, I think. I mean, it doesn't look overwhelming for Protoss, but I gotta say, I would not guess that you could get in there. If Protoss attacks, I do not think he's gonna break through. He does have a menacing army,
on the front, yeah, and look, the Nats are actually hitting the artisans at the same time, so it's actually good that Shambler doesn't attack in.
Yeah, this is a big loss for Shambler. That's like his main economy other than his main. Of course, now he does have a bunch of embassies, so I guess he can rip up pretty quickly. And he's got enough units, I think, here to hold this off pretty well. But he was not able to attack, and Jack's just sitting pretty on 2 bases. He's still got a good number of workers, probably going to get more.
Okay, yeah, there we go. We got it. I think only 2 workers went down there, so that's not so bad.
Yeah, a bit of
obviously all the artisans also died, so it was like 7 workers, but you know. That was definitely something that,
Jack should have gone for it, though.
Yeah, not the follow-up. You get the artisans, you get the hell out, because you're so happy 100%. With that situation. As soon as you see the Hierophant, you know you can't go with the Gorg attack, because the attack speed slow is too powerful there. Obviously,
to be fair, he didn't know if there were 3 cannons in there.
yeah, true. Yeah, that's also true. Even that 4th one.
A Nexus, and there shall not be a Nexus.
No, look at all the artisans queued up. I mean, that could actually be like extra production too. So you know, some critique maybe for
I know what we can call this style. This is bespoke Protoss because it's artisanal.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
All right, here comes the engagement. I mean, Jack coming in a column, he does pull back. Definitely a good call from Jack, although he's going to lose these forward units. Okay, he's doubling down again. Going to come in. The Lakisla's getting right in, and these gateway units certainly have the single target T-best to kill them quickly. I don't know. I feel like Shambler could take this. He does pull back.
Maybe I don't know why. Why is he pulling back? He could have easily taken that fight initially and then maybe repositioned.
It still works out because he just baits away from the Lakisla's. Now he's tearing through, actually. As long as he can deal these Lakisla's after everything else is dead. Well, the Zealots do get smashed by them, though.
Yeah, it looks like the Ecclesiasts, as soon as they abandon ship, right, the armor drops for the Zealots, and then that's it. Yeah, so I feel like he should have stuck around with some of his front line to clear like at least 1 or 2 more Lakes before pulling back initially, but... All right, now he's going to come in before those Vorvs finish, so that helps a little bit. Remember, the Vorvs armor end, the Road Corps armor end, and of course the Zealots lose 1 armor when they drop their shields. So those 2 things independently of each other are pretty powerful, and Jack is taking a 3rd base.
Does the Corrosive Bile and the Claws stack?
Yeah. So the Vorv is a separate debuff for armor. It's Hidebreaker, so it's like it's same as Nath actually. So Nath and Vorv don't stack because it's the same thing, but Nath will also stack with the Corrosive Touch. So.
Obviously, we should give Corrosive to every Zork's unit. That would be fair.
Yeah, why not? I gave it to the Teth. No, I didn't give that to the Teth. I gave the Zarkavor passive to the Teth. So now if you attack it, you'll get slapped with a...
Oh, nice. Does that give lifesteal to the Teth as well?
No, that part is not part of lifesteal. However, it does attack air units with it, right? So
okay.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Doesn't help you against Irradiate, though. Oh, hang on, hold that thought. Here he comes in. A nice angle from Shambler. Actually, he's coming from 2, which is kind of what you want, but the problem is you also have to concentrate against these Gorgs and Zoyus, so he pulls back. Always be careful.
Keeping distance from the Lake is a big deal.
Kind of easy victims for the Lakisla's, unfortunately. They kind of help against the Gorgs, but he doesn't have the damage to shoot them down quickly enough. There we go, decent arc, though. Okay, he's going to finish these off.
Gorgs are buying a ton of time, and also whittling down a lot of the shields of the Drax. They're going to need to recharge, and there's not really any shield sustain left for this comp. As the front line dies, he needs to fall back.
Yeah, this is the problem, right? The Hierophants can do a good job slowing stuff down, but against big tanky stuff like Gorgs and Zoyus, they really just don't do the job. There are some reinforcements, though. I think Shambler can hold here. But I mean, the question is still
talk about reinforcements. Send those goddamn artisans into battle, brother. What the hell? He can do a lot here. The Witness still in presence, so he can try to use the Draconins to snipe the Lakes, but yeah, he's getting overwhelmed, it looks like, on the front line. All the Vorvs are dead, so there's no more Ensnare. Oh, man, he's suffering so many losses due to those spines, though.
Yeah, now the Hydras are here. This is like the perfect Zerg Tier 1 comp. I think Jack might be smashing through his way to battlements here. What does Shambler have left? Except a whole bunch of artisans.
Oh, he's got a lot of units in the queue. That's what he's got left, buddy. And man. I think we are witnessing the destruction of a man before our eyes. No GG as jakulangski goes to battlements. 3-0.
Crushing him, really.
Yeah, all right. Talk about an upset. And, I was telling you beforehand, before we started casting the series, Nablon, I was so hopeful that Jack would at least put on like a good show, even if he ended up getting drubbed. Like, okay, it's a 3-0 for Shambler, or a 3-1, or even a 3-2. Maybe we can hope for that. But Shambler was the favorite coming into this series, and I was just hoping that Jack wouldn't turn back into the pumpkin, right? Like, this is a moment, basically, okay, I'm going to use this comparison because it's topical, and they're the same race. But it's not a diss. Cannoli obviously surprised everybody when he went into not just battlements, but even got to Throne Room. And then after that, he kind of fell off. He went against Aoud, the eventual champion, and then he went against Shambler, and, in 1 or 2 games looked good, but for the most part, it was like, I don't know if anybody really won that series, if you know what I'm saying. And so, like, I was worried that maybe we were going to see something like that, but on a much smaller time frame, where Jack, cracks Top Ramen real quick and surprises everybody and turns heads, and then Shambler just kind of mops the floor with him, right? I was worried we might see that. I'm very pleased that we didn't see that, but I also, and this is now going to sound like a dig against the Shambler, but I do wish there was a little bit more there. I don't know exactly what happened with the Game 2 adaptation. Maybe, again, he was like, wait, is that a fluke? Maybe I just did something small, but I feel like there needed to be something there, and there wasn't really, right? And then now he's got no room to work with in the series, so the gateway struggles. Like, if that had been Game 2 instead, maybe he comes up with something in Game 3 a bit differently, right? But either way, well-deserved win from Jack.
Yeah, well done. And like, I swear, this is Jack's Acropolis, man. Who's going to stop him?
I know a certain somebody who also plays with him a lot that might be able to help with that. But,
Yes, you must learn his ways.
And must indeed learn his ways. I guess that pretty much wraps us up for this series. Shambler will be participating in the Gauntlet stages, no doubt, so you'll see more of him there. Jakulangski, I guess I'll put it to you this way, right? When I was just chilling after work when the series was being played, it was like 1 a.m. local time. I was about to be like falling asleep, and I saw the email saying that Shambler signed up for Gauntlet Stage A, and I was like, that's surely a mistake. And now I know it was not. Now I know it was actually a spoiler because goddamn. I was like, that must be a late email. He signed up just in case he doesn't make it. Plenty of people do that. I know 3Crow did that back in the day. Dog did that a few times. And so it's like, yeah, of course, people do that just in case. And Shambler himself has actually done that, I'm pretty sure. Oh, no, I guess it wasn't Gauntlet, because this will be his first actual Gauntlet, if you think about it. His Acropolis 1 top 2 finish got him the Battlement stage. And now, as he switches to Protoss, as he was in Acropolis 1, switching from Terran, which he was in Acropolis 2, as he goes back to Protoss, he will have to go through the Gauntlet, his first ever Gauntlet stage. Thoughts on that?
Oh, right. Yeah, I didn't think of that. Wait, hey, what did we do for Acropolis 1? Was it the same thing?
It was from Ascension 7, yeah.
Ah. Well, I feel like he's going to do pretty well on Gauntlet. I mean, how many are we qualifying from the Gauntlet?
12. So, yeah,
he'll definitely make it in.
Yeah.
No, I have no doubts that Shambler will make it in. Honestly, I think he'll, rally from this and redouble his efforts and maybe realize.
I think he'll probably make it out of the very first Gauntlet, but it's still kind of interesting that this will be his first time in there, right? And he did say in the exit interview from his 5th to 6th finish in Acropolis 2, he said, "Watch out in the Gauntlets. I'll be coming for you." I thought maybe that wouldn't happen because we had this new Tribunal stage, and once he beat Dog, I was like, oh, maybe he can actually upset even Top Ramen. And turns out he didn't make it there, and so it was Jack instead, and I thought he would just mop Jack up, but no. Jack is there. So now he doesn't have to play until the early June, and we got one more player to qualify through the Tribunal stage. So I guess you'll have to stay tuned for that tomorrow, but good stuff there. Good stuff. And again, congrats to Jack, and commiserations to Shambler. I'm sure he'll rally, like you said.
Yeah, he'll probably bring in a variety of different strats instead of all artisan all the time.
Yeah. Got to practice up. All right, Nablon, thank you for joining me for this series, and congrats again to Jack. We'll be back tomorrow for another Cause Monarchy cast. It will be that final set between Krankadao and Arbuz Budesh. Hard to pick a favorite there, but it'll be a good match, I'm sure. So stay tuned, GG.